Okay, so this talk is going to be in English, so I hope that my English is good for this. Thanks for coming today. I'm going to talk about Vue.js, also known as just Vue. The agenda that I'm going to talk about is during the next 25 minutes is about the introduction. I'm going to talk about the technical parts, how it works under the hood, and give some examples on how you can use it, and then some more advanced stuff on and a little demo in the end in how you can start a project really fast. So let's just go down the memory lane. Even Yu is the creator of Vue.js. He worked for Google as a creative technologist and was a core dev for Meteor. And while he was working for Google, he worked on projects using AngularJS. And he took all the parts that he liked from Angular and built something lightweight without all the extra concepts involved in Angular. The history about it, initial release was in February 2014. He started as a one-man job and still is at some level, but he gets help from other open source developers around the world. And he has a Patreon where people can donate money to him each month so that he doesn't have to work with someone else. The latest release was a month ago today, and the core library, which you can just import in your HTML file, is about 17 kilobytes. So it's really lightweight. So let's view some technical parts. It's inspired by the model view model pattern, but not strictly associated with it. It's reactive, which means that the models are just plain JavaScript objects, and when you modify the JavaScript objects, the view updates. This makes the state management simple and intuitive. So when you pass a plain JavaScript object to a Vue instance, the component render function, Vue will walk through all the parts and convert them to getters and setters. And these getters and setters aren't open for people to see. They're under the hood. They enable Vue to perform dependency tracking and change notification when properties are accessed or modified. So every component instance has a corresponding watcher instance, which records any properties touched during the component's render as dependencies. So when a dependency setter is triggered, it notifies the watcher, which then triggers a re-render, which makes the component re-render the whole DOM. And the Vue instance that I talked about that's what you start with. I'm going to show a more like a sequence diagram afterwards, but you start by creating a new Vue instance and pass an options object, so you can have different kind of methods in it. It doesn't matter. It makes everything just fluently. So when values change in the properties methods, the Vue will react and update. And each Vue instance goes through a series of initialization steps when created. It sets up data observation, compiles the templates if you have any, mounts other instances to the DOM, and updates DOM when the data changes. It also runs functions called lifecycle hooks, which I'm going to show what it is in a moment. Those are added in the different steps during the initialization. So I can show you the diagram. This is the first part. You call new Vue, which then does some initialization, and then the red parts are lifecycle hooks. So you can add different kinds of methods or functions that manipulates your data during the initialization part. And then it checks if it has an element option, which is it gets the the element option is the one that you have to bind with your HTML code, so it knows where you want to add the different information. Then if it has an element option, it goes to the template option, and then it compiles the template if you have any or it just does an elements outer HTML as a template. And then it makes a VM dot $el, which you can use to manipulate the element if you need it. And when it is mounted, you have the different re-renders when the Visual DOM re-renders and patches. And during all these steps, you have different kinds of lifecycle hooks if you want to do something special or not, or you can just leave them as they are and it works. And when you destroy the component or instance, then it tears down every watcher and child components and event listeners. So to go through more examples, this is a normal, is it easy to read, by the way? Yeah, okay. This is the most basic instance you can have. So you define a plain JSON object to hold the data, and then you initiate the view on an element. And the element here is example, which you can see in the div inside the body, where the ID is example. And then the options and the object data is also there. So if you do data.message equals hi, you change the message inside the data object. And then you can also check if the data is the same as the VM data down here. And it says that it's true. So when you change the object, you also change the object within the Vue instance. So if you want to do this yourself, then you can just import the script from Vue with the unpackage.com/Vue. And then you get the lightweight one. Then I can show you a difference between vanilla JS. So this is normal JavaScript. You have a const items with different items, and then you have a function list the items, which makes the list. And then in the end, you have the div where you want to show the viewer the list. But with Vue.js, it's easier. So you have the instance where the element is app and the data with items. And then in the HTML code, you have like 6 rows of code where you have an UL and the li with the v4, which is a directive, which I'm going to talk to in a little bit, where you just say item in items, and then it makes everything for you. This is taken from the AngularJS, which even you liked really well. Directives. They are special attributes prefixed with the v dash. They are expected to be simple single JavaScript expressions. And the directive's job is to reactively apply side effects to the DOM when the value of the expression changes. So we have v4, which is a for loop. And then we have if statements, if you like that. So we have an vif, velse if, and velse. And then we also have vtext, which just binds an object to just the text, it doesn't do anything else. And then we have the vmodel, which you can use the vmodel directive to create two-way data binding on form input and text area elements. It automatically picks the correct way to update the element based on the type, which I'm going to show you since I can't actually import CodePen. So yeah, here we have the instance with the message, and then on the HTML code, on the text area, we have vmodel message. So you bind the message here with this message. You bind with the message from the Vue instance. So you can just change from input field. You can just test, and then it automatically changes the text. This is a CodePen from Sarah Dressner, which is a famous Vue.js / animation expert. So I recommend watching her in her talks about it. Let's go back to we have some other directives. as I talked, the vText binds text to data properties. vShow toggles the element display on the CSS properties, so you can, based on truthness of the expression value, so if it's hidden or not, for example. vOn is used to listen on DOM elements, so you can add click events or different event listeners to an element. And if it's used on normal elements, such as a normal button, then it uses native DOM events. But if you use custom components or custom elements, then it uses the custom events. So it's really intuitive on which one do you want to use. v_once is only renders the element once. So if you have any static information you want to show, which you don't want to recompile every time, then this is the one. It helps with the optimizing update performance. vbind, you can manipulate element classes list and its inline styles. So it handles that. vpre doesn't actually do that much. It just skips compilation for a specific element. And all its children, of course. And vcloak is if you want to hide elements before the compilation of the Vue instance is done. So if you want to show something at the end of the compilation, then vcloak is the one. And of course, it's possible to make your own directives. You just make a function with the name, and then you prefix it with v- on the HTML code, and it just runs the function. So then we have more advanced stuff that Vue.js really likes people to use in big projects, which is a single file component. It's split into 3 parts. You have the template on the top. I can't use my... Oh yeah, it's the template on top, script in the middle, and then you have the inline style at the bottom. That's the normal one, but you can also implement loaders and other stuff through Webpack or Browserify if you use that. And then, how fast can we view an app? So a little demo here. Let's see if we can do this without mirroring. Vue has a CLI, which is the same as React Create App. It creates a project really fast. So you only have to do like npm install globally Vue CLI, but I already have it, so I don't need to install it. Then you can just do Vue init, where you can either do Vue list, which goes through different templates that it already has set up, Browserify and Webpack, and if you want a PVA template. So if you do Vue init Webpack, and then you call it the project, we'll just call it web chapter. It downloads the template. It asks for the project name. You just enter project description, author, then Vue build if you want to runtime and compiler, or runtime only, which is lighter. But then it's only allowed in Vue files, so you can't have them in JS. So we'll just go with the biggest one. Then it has its own Vue router, which even Vue is the creator of. You can just say yes, use ESLint. If you want ESLint, you can configure it yourself, or Airbnb or standard. Let's go with the standard one. Unit tests, yeah, sure. Jess or Karma, or whatever you want. End-to-end test with Nightwatch. Not really sure, I haven't looked what Nightwatch is. Maybe someone knows? Which is
the end-to-end testing framework.
Ah, okay, yeah. We'll just say no. So then you'll get a new folder with the web chapter, where you go through the npm install. Then while we wait, we'll go back here. Okay, damn. Okay, so package.json, it gets all the dependencies that you need by the choices that you made during the setup. We have ESLint and everything here. Then it has a scripts, start, unit, test, and linting everything. Let's see, yeah, it's done, sweet. Then you can see in the source file, you have the main.js, which initializes the Vue app.
Kan du zoome litt inn?
Oh yeah, of course, sorry. Let's see how this works. There we go. Easier? Yeah. So yeah, we initialize the application with the element app and adds the router and the template app with components app. And the component is here. So we have the template and the script, which just exports the name, and then the style. Then you have the components for the, let's see, here's the router. It's really easy to set up different routes if you need anything else. Just name the path, name object, and the object is imported from the components. And the component is, well, the template is pretty big here. Then you just export the script with the data and the style for the component. And if we want to run this, let's see, then you just do npm run, we'll just go with the dev. Builds everything with Webpack, and it runs. Where did it start though? This is the application. So you can, and it has everything like React hotloader for you that have used React. So it hotloads everything. You can add, you can just change. Let's do the side by side maybe. And then you can just do welcome to web chapter, save, and then it reloads. That's how easy it is just to start a web application with Vue. And then you can just add different components and assets if you want. And then you have the, let's see, config here. Let's just get rid of this one. Config, which is the, okay, I can see from here. Yeah, the Webpack, everything that you need. You can just change everything. You don't have to actually eject like you do in the React Create app. You have everything here just to change however you want it. And then the next thing that I'm going to talk about is, the last one is, we have Vue Dev Tools, which is really great with Vue, because let's see how we do. I forgot the, okay, that was mail. The inspector mode, always forget how it works. Developer tools, there we go. So the Vue Dev Tools works, it has a really nice interface. So you get everything here, the components. You have Vuex, which is a Redux for Vue, which I haven't gotten to look at. Then you have the events, where it records everything. So you have any buttons or anything other things, you can just, everything gets here in logs. And then you have the refresh button if you need that. So yeah, let's see, back to the, so yeah, if you want to look at how awesome Vue is, they have a github.com/vues/awesome, which they go through different kind of projects that someone else has built to show how easy it is with Vue. And then you have the Vue.js site to read the documentation, which is really easy if you know basic HTML or JS. You don't have to know React or anything like that. It's much easier to learn. And then you have the Astras, which is the Sarah Drasner's Intro to Vue, which is a workshop that I would say it's recommended to read it. Yeah, thanks. Questions? No?
So did you?
Yeah, it's working. Yeah.
Did you work a long time with Vue before, or with React before you tried Vue?
I worked as a part-time job here at Knowit for a year with React, so not that much maybe.
So which do you prefer?
Vue was easier to learn, but I know more about React, so it's easier for me to say React. But because of how easy it is to actually learn it, then I would recommend someone else to start with Vue. No one? Okay, thanks.